B, campus administration. 1, possible action regarding school health advisory council, middle school human sexuality and abstinence education recommendation.
Okay, Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. I would like to ask Ms. Rachel Naylor, our Director for Physical Education, Health, and Athletics, to come to the podium and address this item.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. It is my honor to bring forth a recommendation from our School Health Advisory Council with regards to middle school human sexuality and abstinence education. Before I bring up our presenters, Melissa Munsell, our instructional specialist for PE and Health, and Mario Martinez from San Antonio Metro Health, I would like to give you just a little bit of history with regards to School Health Advisory Council. School Health Advisory Councils are required by law to be in our school district. They're appointed by our board members. We have 50 School Health Advisory Council members. Of that 50, 26 are parents, 12 are district employees, and 12 are community or nonprofit representatives. Our SHAC and vice chair are currently sitting in the audience, and I'd like to introduce them. Denise Jones, our chair, is a parent of multiple schools in our school district. And Catherine Sanchez Rocha is our vice chair and also a parent. And then I'd like to recognize the SHAC members that are in the room. If you sit on our SHAC, will you please stand? We have several categories of SHAC members that are represented. We represent this. We have public school teachers, school administrators, district students, which is our K-SHAC. We have 14 of those students that join us on our 50, which makes us really 64 strong. We have healthcare professionals, business community, law enforcement. Chief McCampbell sits on our SHAC. Senior citizens, clergy, and also nonprofit health organizations. So we cover the full gamut of individuals on our SHAC. We have 5 subcommittees on our SHAC. One of those is classroom health and sex education, which is the subcommittee that reviewed the recommendation that is coming forth tonight, voted on by the entire SHAC. Fitness and Physical Activity Committee, Safe and Healthy Schools Committee, Nutrition Committee, and of course, as Kids School Health Advisory Council or Committee. They actually fall under the substructure of our SHAC. The Classroom Health and Sex Education Committee does a big review every 3 years of our curricula. The SHAC came under the PE and Health Department around 2011, 2012. And at that time, one of the things we wanted to make sure we did was have a systemic approach to making sure we reviewed our human sexuality and abstinence education curricula. We review the curricula every year by our teachers and by our district curriculum department. And then every 3 years, we do what we call a big review. So this year happened to be a big review for middle school curricula, and then that is why the recommendation is coming forward. At this time, I'd like to introduce Melissa Munsell, our instructional specialist, to come to the podium.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Gotardi, and executive staff. Thanks for having us here this evening. As Rachel indicated, if you'll see on the column on the left, these are the members of our SHAC subcommittee, Classroom Health and Sex Education. I would like to introduce them this evening. If they are here, I would like for them to stand. I know we had some of our members that were able to come. Catherine Sanchez Rocha from the Churchill Cluster, Kate Swint from the Roosevelt Cluster, Nora Euler from the Lee Cluster, Daniel Housley from the Reagan Cluster, Tina Castellanos from the Mac Cluster, Donna Wiedemann from the Reagan Cluster, Valencia Coleman from the Roosevelt Cluster. Those are our parent members on this particular SHAC subcommittee. Our community members are Michelle or Mickey Maxwell. She is a registered nurse and a pediatric nurse practitioner. Kit Tomlinson, who is our clergy member. He was appointed by Susan Galindo. Sorry. And then our district members on this subcommittee, Diane Bullard, who is our Assistant Director for Health Services, and she's also a registered nurse. Tyler Shoesmith, who is our Director for Family Support Services, and then myself, Melissa Munsell, instructional specialist in the PE and health department. For our curriculum review subcommittee, we also asked 4 of our middle school health and PE teachers to join us. Susie Blucher, Tehada Middle School, she's our 6th grade health teacher. Julie Buchanan from White Middle School, she's our 6th grade health, and she also teaches and coaches 7th and 8th grade PE and athletics. Peggy Morales from Harris Middle School, she teaches and coaches 7th and 8th grade PE and athletics, as well as serves as our high school health teacher at Harris. And then Misty Rodriguez, Jackson Middle School, she is our 6th grade health and our high school health teacher at Jackson. And then we also had some special guests that came in this year to help us out. Mario Martinez from the City of San Antonio Metro Health, Project Worth. Meredith Howell from the City of San Antonio Metro Health, Project Worth. Belinda Hernandez, UT School of Public Health, UT Health Science Center. And Joette Garza-Garabay, UT Teen Health, UT Health Science Center as well. We're going to talk about program types, evidence-based programs this evening. You're going to hear this term quite a bit. The criteria for evidence-based programs, I want to give you a little background. The criteria for evidence-based programs has been set by the Office of Adolescent Health, which is a part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. There are 31 programs on the list that is housed within the Office of Adolescent Health. And 2 types of those programs include sexual health education and abstinence education. Sexual health education programs are abstinence-centered and include information on contraceptive methods. On the list, there are 16 sexual health education programs that meet the evidence-based program criteria, and we reviewed 2 of those 16 programs. Abstinence education programs are abstinence-centered and do not include information on contraceptive methods. There are 3 abstinence education programs that meet the EBP criteria, and we reviewed 2 of those 3 programs. You may be asking, what is abstinence-centered? Abstinence-centered means that the program stresses that abstinence is the healthiest choice for adolescents. We were asked to give a little history on what was being taught before our current curriculum. Prior to 2008, the Middle School Human Sexuality and Abstinence Education, or HSAE curriculum, was basically a condensed version of Worth the Wait. For the 3 grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, Worth the Wait contains 10 lessons for each grade level. So what happened at that time was basically the important points from those 10 lessons were taught at the 6th grade level in 2 days, 2 class periods, and at the 7th and 8th grade levels in 3 days or 3 class periods. They were taught within the science classes, and they were taught by the school nurses at each particular campus. And you can see the lesson focus of what Worth the Wait focused on at each grade level. In 2008, Choosing the Best was adopted for the middle school HSAE program. Choosing the Best is described as a research-based, abstinence-centered program. However, it is not evidence. It's not an evidence-based program. There are 3 levels of lessons. You can see that there's 6 lessons at the 6th grade level, 8 lessons at the 7th and 8th grade level. At the time of adoption in 2008, the teaching of this program was moved from the science department into the PE and health classes, and so it was taught by health and PE teachers within the 6th grade health classes, and then at the 7th and 8th grade level within PE and within athletics. And you can see the lesson focuses of Choosing the Best. In 2011, legislation was filed that would require evidence-based programs to be taught. Rachel Naylor and I attended the UT Prevention Research Center's 3rd annual adolescent health course, basically to try to gain insight into what was going on in this area, to find out what an evidence program was, what was the importance of teaching an evidence-based program, what programs were out there and available, what was being focused on as far as what needed to be taught to our young people. And then since then, we have attended many different meetings and conferences and seminars to try to stay updated on what is going on in this area. In the spring of 2013, we did form and become active as far as our SHAC Subcommittee, Classroom Health and Sex Education. At that time, we did a complete review of both levels of HSAE curriculum at the middle school and at the high school levels, And we also did a study, or we did a look at our district teen pregnancy numbers, which you'll see in just a little bit. After our study, we did some tweaks and updates on our existing curricula, and then we really felt in information not only filed legislation possibly requiring evidence-based programming, but also input that we received from our teachers and input that we received from our school-age parenting programs. We really felt like, and a look again at those district teen pregnancy numbers, we really felt like we needed to begin a focus at the middle school level. So at that time, we invited Project Worth in, Mario, and some of his staff to come in and provide an overview of middle school prevention curricula, evidence-based programs that were available and being taught at that time. We also began, some of our staff as well as myself began curriculum observations. Two particular programs, Draw the Line, Respect the Line, and It's Your Game, that were being taught in area schools here in San Antonio at that time. We began observations as far as those two programs. Myself and two of our staff members also became trained in It's Your Game in 2014. So we were really trying to gather as much information as we possibly could. Also, out of our subcommittee meetings at that time and into the next school year, we really did a focus on our parent preview meeting numbers, how many parents were coming, our opt-in, opt-out numbers as far as our parent permission forms, and then this was kind of a brainchild of our SHAC subcommittee to do an online parent preview. We had just done an online guide to parent internet safety that we thought was really cool. So we wanted to do an online parent preview as well to try to, it's hard. I know as a parent myself, it's hard to make those meetings in the evenings. It's hard to find that time in your schedule. And so we thought an online option would be a great thing. So if you look at these numbers, the data that we collected, we began collecting data in the fall of 2013. And this is all levels, middle school through high school, 6th, 7th, 8th, and high school level. So over the last 2.5 years, this is the information that you're going to see on this slide. We gathered data on 41,574 student forms that I was able to collect data on. And so what you'll see as far as parent preview meetings, at the middle school level, each campus, each semester holds a meeting. And then at the high school level, our numbers were so low that we gradually kind of combined to where we offer 2 district-wide meetings in a central location each semester. So the numbers that you see is based over the last 2.5 years on the information that we've gathered. We've had 3% of our parents take advantage of those parent previews. And you can see the averages per semester per each 21 of the 21 campuses. In the school year 2013-2014, we had 4% of our parents that would attend the meetings, and then it's gradually dwindled to where this past fall, 2015, we had 1%. Now, at that time, we also introduced our online parent preview in the spring of 2015, and that's for all levels, middle school and high schools, and that parent preview is available via the parent portal. On our main page, we have almost in the last, and that's almost 3 full semesters. We've had almost 3,000 total clicks, which is really cool. So our parents are accessing that information. And if you look at middle school versus high school parents a little bit less, only 408 clicks on the total site. But then at the middle school, you can see that our middle school parents, especially at the 6th grade level, are really accessing that information. And then as far as parent permission forms, again, based on the last 2.5 years, our district is an active consent district, meaning that our parents have to opt those students in for them to be in the program. So basically all students have to return a form. We had 5% no forms returned. We had 7% missing forms, and those students complete an alternate assignment. And then we also give the parents the opportunity to opt out of specific lessons. Basically, our feeling on that is we want our students to get as much information as they possibly can. So we don't want it to be an all or nothing thing. So if a parent or a family is uncomfortable with a specific lesson, we want them to have the opportunity to say, I don't really want my child to do that lesson. So they can opt out of that specific lesson. So out of the last 2.5 years, we have had 41 lessons opted out of. Back to the timeline. This past school year, 2014-2015, our SHAC subcommittee, again, continued discussions on data collection and a focus on middle school, HSAE. In the spring of 2015, we became aware that the UT School of Public Health in Houston, UT Health Science Center Houston, was developing a tool called CHAMPS, or iCHAMPS, the iCHAMPS model. CHAMPS stands for Choosing and Maintaining Effective Programs for Sex Education in Schools. So basically, this is an evaluation tool for schools to be able to help schools adopt, implement, and maintain evidence-based programs. And again, legislative bills were being filed at this time that would require evidence-based programming. We were waiting. We still had a focus on trying to adopt a district-wide middle school evidence-based program for our HSAE Foundation. But we were just waiting for the right tool to come along to help us do that. We also had, in the spring of 2015, toward the end of the spring, we had a possible grant opportunity that came up with UT Public Health, UT Health Science Center in Houston. Coming into this current school year, in the fall, the CHAMPS model was up and running and ready to go. So we felt like it was time for us to move on with possibly adopting a program. So in the fall of 2015, our first meeting in October, we invited Mario Martinez from Metro Health, Project Worth, to come in. We reviewed our Northeast and San Antonio area teen birth rate data. We discussed evidence programs and what other area school districts were doing as far as evidence-based programming. We discussed a new grant opportunity with UT Public Health, UT Health Science Center in San Antonio this time. And then we discussed the steps of using the CHAMPS model. And we determined at that time that we were on step 2, assess. In November, again, we had Mario come to our meeting. We discussed the CHAMPS tools. We discussed a timeline of how we would like to proceed. And then we made the decision to go ahead and proceed with our program previews. Coming into this semester, the spring of 2016, in our January meeting, we had Mario at the meeting. We had Melinda Hernandez from UT School of Public Health, and we had Joette Garza-Garibay from UT Teen Health come in. We reviewed our timeline of district's key dates, basically from 2011 on, all the things that we had done and gone through to prepare for this time. We discussed a partner needs and resource assessment, which was a tool that we had submitted to UT School of Public Health, which was within the CHAMPS framework. We previewed a list of evidence-based programs that was provided, and this list was based on that district needs and resource assessment, also based on the multi-level needs that we knew we were going to need as far as a curriculum, and then also what other area schools were doing here in Bexar County, here in San Antonio. We reviewed 4 programs. We narrowed that list down to 2 programs, Draw the Line, Respect the Line, and It's Your Game, Keep It Real. We discussed a new timeline of how we wanted to proceed, and then the subcommittee members were given an opportunity to review the 2 programs that we narrowed our list down to before the February meeting. At the February meeting, we discussed the pros and the cons of the 2 programs. Within that discussion, we talked about alternate assignments that might be used when deemed appropriate. At no time was it ever considered that condoms would be used in the classroom. We also brainstormed and discussed information about parent meetings, about permission forms, and about opting out of specific lessons, as well as what the implementation might look like going into the fall of 2016. Our teachers on our review subcommittee also brought up the possibility of using Google Drive and Google Classroom within the framework of whatever chosen program that we use, which is a tool that a lot of our teachers are using within our district. The subcommittee made the decision that Draw the Line, Respect the Line was the best choice, and then we discussed our future timeline for the rest of the school year. In March, we did a full SHAC presentation, and then we had a full SHAC vote which the full SHAC approved our motion to adopt Draw the Line, Respect the Line for the middle school level. I made some references several times about Northeast's information as far as reported pregnancies. You'll see here in this table the NEISD number of reported pregnancies over the last 4 years. So while we have, and the first numbers that we actually looked at when we did our first curriculum review was that very first column, 2012, 2013, where we had 190 reported pregnancies. So you can see that our numbers have gone down, but we still have work to do. And I'd like to invite Mario Martinez from San Antonio Metro Health to go ahead and continue with the local, state, and national data.
Good evening. This next slide illustrates teen births in Bear County. You'll note that teen births across the county are not isolated to any specific geographic area, but really across our community. So this particular map will see our birth rates by zip code, but overlaid with the school district catchment areas. Despite some declines over the last few years in teen birth rates in Bear County, our teen birth rate among females 15 to 19, which is the standard measurement for national birth rate and even Texas and local counties, Bear County still stands at 51% higher than the US rate. In regards to repeat teen births, our county, 20% of all teen births in our community were repeat births. We're currently waiting for the state to distribute or share the 2014 data, so this is the latest comparable data that we have at the health department. As Melissa had mentioned, the subcommittee reviewed 4 programs, 4 evidence-based programs. 2 of the programs are considered a program type sexual health education. Those include It's Your Game and Draw the Line, Respect the Line. 2 of the programs are considered abstinence education, making a difference and promoting health among teens, abstinence only. Looking at the district programming currently, the district subcommittee was working in looking for a multi-grade level program. And so those 2 that met that criteria, It's Your Game and Draw the Line, were 2 that were selected because of that multi-year programming. Making a difference in promoting health among teens, abstinence only, did not meet that criteria, but were selected because of the study rating was high. So to briefly go through each one, the It's Your Game program is available for 7th and 8th graders. Sexual health education, it has 12 lessons in the 7th grade and 12 lessons in the 8th grade. Each lesson approximately 50 minutes class time. So again, this particular group program is a multi-level, 7th and 8th grade, but does not include programming for 6th graders. It also includes technology at each grade level, so that includes 5 computer lessons at 7th and 8th grade. Some notes that we've included for each of the different programs, again, not available at all 3 of the middle school levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 12 lessons at each grade level, which means it's longer curriculum. And then the other is that it requires access to computers at the different campuses. The study rating for this particular program was moderate. The Draw the Line, Respect the Line, again, multi-level, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, starting with 5 lessons at the 6th grade, 7 lessons in 7th and also in 8th grade. Each lesson approximately 50 minutes of class time. So again, multi-grade level programming, smaller number of lessons. This particular curriculum includes role plays and also pairing component, which means that there are handouts that are taken home with the students to discuss with parents or guardians. This particular curriculum also includes either an option for a video or an HIV speaker to come into the class and cover the part about HIV or living with HIV. From the very beginning, when Draw the Line, Respect the Line was introduced to the subcommittee, the activity on the condom was already red flagged for the subcommittee to note and discussion and review. And again, as Melissa had mentioned, condom demonstration will not be used for classes, but there is an adaptation approved by the CDC and also the Office of Adolescent Health for that particular lesson substitution. The study rating on this curriculum is high. Making a difference for ages 11 to 13, abstinence education, 13 modules, approximate time, 45 minutes of class time. Available for one grade level, but it can include a mix of students ages 11 to 13. Promotes abstinence with role play component and also includes videos. It does have an extended number of lessons, again 13, and not available at all levels. Study rating was high. And then finally, the promoting health among teens, the abstinence-only version for ages 11 to 13, considered abstinence education, 12 modules, 45 minutes of class time. Available for one grade level, again, you can have students between the ages of 11 to 13, promoting abstinence with role-play component and videos, very similar to Making a Difference. So this particular curriculum also has an extended number of lessons, not available at all grade levels, but did have a high study rating. And now for a program comparison, looking at Choosing the Best, which is the current program in Northeast ISD, and Draw the Line, Respect the Line. Choosing the Best is not an evidence-based program. It is research-based, but not to the level of it being considered an evidence-based program, whereas Draw the Line, Respect the Line is an evidence-based program. Currently, active parental consent is district policy, as will be for the Draw the Line, Respect the Line. Current program, Choosing the Best, is a multi-year 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as is the Draw the Line, Respect the Line. 6 lessons currently for Choosing the Best in 6th grade, 8 lessons in each 7th and 8th grade. Draw the Line, 5 lessons in 6th grade with no sexual content, 7 lessons in 7th grade, and then 8th grade with 7 lessons. Choosing the Best promotes abstinence as the healthiest choice for adolescents, considered abstinence-centered. Draw the Line, Respect the Line, also promoting abstinence as the healthiest choice for adolescents, also considered abstinence-centered. Choosing the Best includes brief information on contraceptive methods and their failure rates, as opposed to the Draw the Line, Respect the Line, where information on contraceptives is introduced at the later part of the 8th grade level and includes information on contraceptive methods and its effectiveness. As Melissa had mentioned, there was tools that were used throughout the process. This is one. In looking at Draw the Line, Respect the Line, the subcommittee then listed the pros and cons for this particular curriculum. I'll read off the first bullets. I can't really see that far from here. But the pros available at each grade level, which 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is mentioned before, having materials for all grade levels available. Each of the booklets contain handouts that are available for teachers and also for students. This particular curriculum is also available in Spanish. Another comment was it's more available to conduct and it's manageable. Mimics current curriculum because it builds on previous grade level, as it does the current curriculum Choosing the Best. And there's other comments, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. It's just really talking about it's being teacher-friendly, mimics current curriculum. The 8th grade, it's more in-depth than the current curriculum and in scripted role plays. And really there's no need for printed handouts. Teachers were talking about, or the ones in the subcommittee, about using Google Drive as a technology element as part of the instruction for this particular curriculum that's chosen. The next section is a list of the cons for this particular curriculum. One of the comments is that it's hard to come back the next week to continue the 7th and 8th grade levels because they are both 7 lessons as opposed to the 6th grade, which is 5 lessons, which could be done in 5 days. hard to find a class for those who do not return permission slips. It does not contain videos or a technology component. Role plays are part of the curriculum, but difficult for participation at the middle school level. And then also a comment about the condom lesson. There's pushback in regards to that. But however, Northeast ISD will use an alternate activity, which is less controversial and used by other school districts in the San Antonio area. The comments for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade include at the 6th grade level. Our current curriculum provides a little bit more than choosing the best. And then the 7th grade lessons and 8th grade lessons, they're more for each of those two levels, 7 at the 7th grade and then 7 at the 8th grade. And then of course the 8th grade includes the, as written, the common demonstration, but better with adaptation. So that concludes my part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. This is an agendized item, and we have people. Oh, Ms. Bunsell, I'm sorry. Okay. Ms. Naylor, did you have any? Okay. Thank you. So this is an agendized item, and per our procedures, what we try to do, or what we do, is we ask those who have signed up regarding this agendized item to speak at this time. So I'd like to go over the rules of engagement for all of us to understand, and then we'll call one by one. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 5 minutes. However, since this is an agendized item, each speaker has 3 minutes. They are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies. 2, a personnel action. 3, a student disciplinary matter. 4, a complaint about a particular student. And 5, pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Mrs. Huey. And for those that are speaking, if you could please state your name and address.
Kelly Gretchen.
Kelly Gretchel, 25007, Ash Juniper, 78261.
Ms. Gretchen, would you like a 30-second reminder?
Sure, that can help.
Okay, so Ms. Huey will be taking time.
Great.
Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you, members of the board, SHAC, and guests. Thank you, Rachel Naylor, for giving such a wonderful overview of the purpose of the SHAC. It was nice to see all the parents on that list, although my own cluster, Johnson High School, was not represented at the SHAC Sex Ed Subcommittee. I was able to attend a few of the SHAC meetings and the Sex Ed Subcommittee meetings. I remember quite a few folks who were there who were neither parents nor teachers nor community members. Most are here today. How about Healthy Futures? I know y'all are back there. Y'all want to stand? No? Okay. Project Words?
Just Gretchen, you're addressing the board.
Okay.
Please address the board.
Sure. So Healthy Futures, Project Worth is here. Mental Health, of course, with Mario Martinez already spoke. In fact, we even have Janet Willini, who's here, who is the writer of the Big Decisions curriculum, which is a high school curriculum that is currently being used, so she's here. It's exciting. The board probably knows her, but the folks in the gallery may not. Janet Randley wrote many curriculums. She has a strong,
Ms. Gretchel, no names.
okay, of the board or anyone.
No names.
All right, she also a founder of Project Worth, president of Healthy Futures. One of our esteemed nurses sits on her Healthy Futures board. We often, as shown on the PowerPoint, you often see UT Health Science Center being asked to speak. However, what I don't see is any other professional organization being asked to speak to give recommendations on what they think would be a good sex ed curriculum. In fact, UT Health Science Center was the only professional sex ed lobbyist who was invited to present to this very vulnerable subcommittee. Interestingly enough, UT Health Science Center has a financial interest in this partnership with Northeast ISD. $5 million in grant money has already been awarded to UT Health Science Center now, and all they need is a district to buy their program. Luckily, NEISD signed an MOU in March of 2015. That would be a year before the SHAC was able to vote on whether or not this would be a good idea. This assured NEISD's cooperation with the city and the city's programs. These city programs were not vetted by the parents nor the subcommittees, so parents did not have an opportunity to... Okay, sorry, thank you. Another MOU was signed in October, and that also cemented the bond between NEISD and the city. We are asking that the board delay this decision, think about what's going on here, investigate it, and then possibly reconvene the SHAC to make a decision that does not involve professional sex lobbyists as a part of the presenting committee. Thank you.
Someone who...
After Ripley D., would you like a 30-second warning?
I would, please. Is my time 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
Is
Do
there
I
someone
need to
who
remind
can...
you of any other rules of engagement?
I don't.
No names.
Yes, ma'am. Is there someone who can put slides up for me?
No slides, sorry. No presentations are allowed. And I believe that we've got a very specific policy that's on our website. I believe it was there when people were signing up for matters from the floor, so I would appreciate your adherence to our policies.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, my name is Gerald Ripley. My address is 5422 Maple Vista, 78247. I am and have been a pastor in San Antonio the past 36 years. I don't know if President Harry Truman came up with the saying, but he certainly made it popular by placing it on his desk, "The buck stops here." Tonight, the picture I cannot show you shows you as school board members in your photo with the words above it, "The buck stops here." You own the decision that you made tonight. I find it unfathomable to think the parental representatives on the sex ed subcommittee realized Draw the Line did nothing to help girls modify their sexual behavior. I can't believe they would have gone along with the recommendation if they realized that. I find it disturbing to think members of the subcommittee didn't understand Draw the Line doesn't help girls. That information is readily available. It should have been presented to them. It should have been listed as a con, but it was not. I find it equally disturbing to think the subcommittee did understand Draw the Line doesn't help girls, but recommended it anyway. I don't believe SHAC members not on the subcommittee realized the evidence shows Draw the Line does not help girls. That information wasn't presented to them at the March 29th meeting, nor this evening. Whatever is the case for the others, you clearly understand, have the opportunity to fully recognize Draw the Line doesn't help girls. That information has been made available to you. I've never said that for when I finish. Northeast is reputed to be a leading school district in the state of Texas. A leading school district should offer a leading sex ed program, one that evidence demonstrates is effective across ages, gender, and race. When a new program is selected, the changes should be expected, those in charge should be expected to choose the best program, not one that doesn't help girls. Actions have consequences. The decision you make tonight is of critical importance for the well-being of the students. You want what is best for the students. You want the best education you can provide. The best program is what is best for the students. I'm encouraging you to postpone your vote tonight, to refer the recommendation for careful scrutiny and further review, so that in the future you can confidently declare you have selected the best program.
30 seconds.
A program that has been demonstrated to accomplish desired goals, a program that is good for all the students, not just half of them. There are consequences that will occur if you decide to choose the program tonight as recommended. An unfortunate one is that parents will have false confidence that what they're expecting is going to take place. A tragic consequence is that the most vulnerable in our people, those girls who don't have parental assistance and home involvement,
Time.
will be misled.
Patrick Van Dolen.
Mr. Von Dolen, would you like a reminder of the rules of engagement?
My wife would say, yes, I do.
What do you say?
Yes, I do.
Trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 5 minutes. However, since this is an agendized item, 3 minutes are allowed. They are not permitted to make, 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policy, a personnel action, a student disciplinary matter, a complaint about a particular student, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesla Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas 78217. Would you like a 30-minute warning?
Sure.
30 seconds.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, that is dangerous. And I'm not interested in danger. Go ahead.
And I welcome any questions if you'd like. My name is Patrick Von Dolen, 2811 Redland Creek, San Antonio, Texas 78259. I'm the parent of 9 children. 7 of those children attend Northeast ISD schools. My 8th child, who's actually in 6th grade, as I told before, has departed Northeast ISD and gone to Great Hearts. And one of the things that I relish about her going to Great Hearts is that this issue is not an issue. Great Hearts is not required to teach sex ed, nor are any schools required to teach sex ed, nor are you required to vote it and have sex ed. I want to applaud you again on your mission of responsible citizenship. And I'd like all trustworthy Texans who responsible citizenship defines trustworthy Texans. I'd like all trustworthy Texans who are concerned about this issue to please stand up and join with me tonight as I speak for you. I'd like all of the other ones, everybody sit down. All the Christian parents to stand up, please. If I might, is that okay?
You can continue. You've got 3 minutes, and I use that time very well.
And I believe we just had a gentleman come who happens to be a Muslim faith with 4 children in Northeast ISD, Mr. Bud Sino. I apologize in advance. So parents, as a parent, what do I expect out of Northeast ISD or any school district? I expect an independent school district. And I'm very disturbed by the fact that San Antonio Metropolitan Health District is here representing a curriculum. It's not very independent. If you know much about San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, they are involved in teen pregnancy prevention, as they would say it. It's really about teen birth rate reduction. It's the elimination of children once they're conceived in the womb using chemical contraceptives to then kill the child so the baby isn't born. They're absolutely involved in this. They're absolutely involved and aligned with Healthy Futures Texas, who is promoting Big Decisions, another curriculum you have that promotes these chemical contraceptives that are very harmful for young women. As a matter of fact, one of them causes irreversible bone density loss. I need to be able to trust Northeast ISD. All parents need to be able to trust the Northeast ISD to do the right thing by their children. I expect a consistent teaching approach. One of the things that I see is no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. It didn't say exceptions for smoking filtered cigarettes. This is inconsistent with all the other teaching that you have. I implore you to be consistent with that teaching. It's not required by law. Where are the legal disclaimers saying that children, minor children, it's illegal for them to consent to sex? I haven't seen anything about legal disclaimers. This is a black and white issue. This is not a fungible issue. It's a matter of parental rights, and this is stepping over parental rights, especially when it comes to middle schoolers. I would encourage you to table this or vote it down to protect it. The current curriculum is much better in risk avoidance. It's much more consistent with your no drugs and no alcohol approach. Thank you very much for your time.
Ms. Aguirre?
Hi, my name is Victoria. I live at 6810 Main Street, Pass, San Antonio, Texas, 78233.
Would you like a 30-second warning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Victoria, and I'm a sophomore at James Madison High School. I think I'm also a member of the Healthy Futures of Texas Youth Advocacy Council, which is a group of San Antonio teens who advocates for healthy choices among our peers, including policies that reduce rates of teen and unplanned pregnancy. I am a leader for change in my community, and with my fellow council members, we work to prevent strategies and effective programs that will help to reduce the high teen pregnancy rates experienced by San Antonio. One of our priorities has to do with encouraging school districts to adopt and implement evidence-based sexual health education programs. I'm currently in a child development class, and they do have a lot of facts about some of the things that they teach you in the evidence-based, but they're not evidence-based. They're just facts, old facts. There's a girl, she's a 9th grader in my class, and she is 15 years old, just turned 15 years old, and she's 3 months pregnant. And our teacher was trying to get her to move into a class that is focused on already pregnant teens or already mothers. And well, I think that it is good that they have these programs. I think that they should have some kind of program out there or in our schools that teaches us how to prevent teen pregnancy. Because you can tell your children all you want to not have sex, but that doesn't mean that they're going to listen to you. So I think that if we had these classes in our schools to help teens be prepared and ready, and maybe know how to prevent teen pregnancy, that it would really bring down the rates. As my story shows, it's very important that students have evidence-based lessons to help them make healthy choices. I, along with other youth advocacy council members, believe that students deserve medical, accurate sexual health information and help with developing skills and communication and making health decisions. I'm urging the board to support the system. Thank you.
Adriana Cooper Richardson.
My name is Aubriana Cooper Richardson, and my address is 4043 Sunrise Creek Drive, 78244.
Would you like a 30-second warning?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the NEISD School Board, Superintendents, School District, personnel, and guests. My name is Aubriana, and I am a junior at Roosevelt High School. I am also a member of the
Healthy Futures of Texas Advocacy Council. I am an AV honor roll student and enjoy participating in extracurricular activities, including dance and yoga. My friends describe me as a nice, caring, and smart person. I enjoy being part of the Youth Advocacy Council because it's a way that I can be active in my community and meet other teens who care about the similar issues like teen pregnancy prevention. I don't think that students in our school district are receiving good information when it comes to sex education. There aren't enough opportunities for health classes to be offered. During this school year alone, 4 of my friends have become pregnant. One is starting to miss a lot of school and is getting behind in her schoolwork, and one just had her baby. She is back at school and started a job too. She wants to try and graduate early so she can be there for her baby. The majority of Texas students receive sexual health information that is ineffective, inadequate, and often inaccurate. Texas is ranked #1 in repeat teen pregnancy. That is not a ranking I am proud of as a teenager. According to the NEISD Director of the Family Support Services in the 2014 to 2015 school year, there were nearly 200 students in our district enrolled in the school-age parenting program. The director also estimated that pregnancy was the reason that 30 NEISD students completely dropped out of school during the 2014 through 2015 school year. With your help, things could be different for students. I believe that if our schools had effective programs in place, we would see a decrease in teen pregnancy rates for NEISD. Please stay focused on the actual needs of my peers and all of the students of this district and support programs that will help us be truly informed and prepared for the challenges we face. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I believe all that have signed up to speak has spoken, so I'll open it up to board members for questions. Mrs. Perkins.
I have a question.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, is Rachel maybe I'm not sure. Whoever can answer this question. With regards to draw the line, respect the line, there have been statements made that this has no positive impact on girls. And I would like for you to explain that, please. Thank you.
So I'm going to actually read from one of the research articles right from the very beginning with regards to that, if I can get to it real quick, because I have a whole bunch of stuff ready. Here it is. So at the very beginning, it says, to date, however, and this article, this was the Draw the Line, Respect the Line, a randomized trial article on this. To date, however, there are no published randomized trials of school-based HIV, other STD, and pregnancy prevention programs in middle schools with significant positive effects on behavior. Studies with quasi-experimental designs have found some positive effects. The key is that you're starting with 6th grade as your sample group or randomized group, and you're traveling in this particular program, they're going for 36 months. So we're looking at 8th grade. During that time, they're not engaging in risky behavior, so the changes that you're going to see are going to be significantly low, so statistically low that they can't say that the changes have made a big enough difference. That was one of the cases they found with the girls in this particular program. The other thing that they noted was that they felt the influence possibly on girls was due to peers, older peers, and that influence. Because of that, we have also taken into account that we will make sure we work with Metro Health and UT Health to address that within our programming. They did show when they got to 9th grade, after the 36 months of monitoring them, they started to trend in the right direction and started making some positive results.
Did you have another question, Mrs. Perkins?
I do. Okay. There has been, in my opinion, an allegation that there's a conflict of interest, that there are, because of some of the programs being intertwined. Can you speak to that, please?
Yes, ma'am. One of the allegations I'm guessing you're alluding to is with regards to big decisions. And Dr. Janet Riamini, I know no names or county names.
Yes. Because you're
Okay,
not.
I'm answering questions.
Yes.
So with regards to that, that has nothing to do with this particular program. Draw the Line, Respect the Line is not connected to Healthy Futures nor to Dr. Rialini. She did not write this program. So I don't understand the allegation with regards to that. We do have big decisions at our high school, but that's not the recommendation that we're bringing forward.
Could you maybe explain a little bit more, just to add to that, about any conflicts of interest? You know, there were some comments made that had to do with that UTS Health Science Center is making money on this, that this is their program, that they are lobbying for it. Can you address some of those concerns?
Sure. This is not UT Health's program. This was actually written by a completely different group. Our MOU that we signed with UT Health, there's been 2 MOUs that we've signed. Both had nothing to do with money, nor had to do with grants. It had to do with ours trying to utilize the iChamps tool. In order to use the CHAMPS tool, which was important for us to address with our School Health Advisory Council and helping them decide what the best evidence program was, we signed an MOU first with UT Health. The second time that grant didn't work out and being able to utilize that tool was not available to us. We told them the next opportunity that came available, we would like to know about it because we wanted to use the CHAMPS tool. It's called iChamps or CHAMPS either way.
And it's an evaluation tool.
It's the evaluation tool. iChamps means it can be internet-based, so they added that on there. And so we chose, when the opportunity came forward to us from San Antonio Metro Health, because UT Health had got an Office of Adolescent Health grant, we took that opportunity. The MOU we signed, however, does not give us any financial obligation. It doesn't give us any financial funding from that either. All it does is help us choose the program that's best for our school district use.
For a grant, though.
The grant.
The grant.
The MOU that we've signed and the grant. Right. Now, there are other parts of the grant that we could have signed on to. We did not. All we did was sign on to be able to utilize the iChamps tool to be able to pick the best evidence-based program. With that said, though, we have no obligation to do so. If our SHAC had decided to stay with the program that we're utilizing, then that's the program that we would stay with. There's no obligation whatsoever to have to choose any program that is brought forth other than what our SHAC chooses.
Can we just leapfrog onto the financial obligations for the district for this then?
There is no financial obligation with regards to the district at this time. The materials that we're going to utilize are free. We will get the training free as well.
Great. Thank you. That's all for now.
Okay. Does anyone have additional questions? Mr. Reed?
Yes. Let me start with just sort of some simple questions, some more basic things.
I think I have this thing on. Here we go.
Number one is why was there a need to change now? How did that come up?
Actually, it didn't come up now. It's actually been something we've been looking at since 2011. So when legislative files started being made, bills started being filed, even though none of them have come to fruition and none of them have occurred, they have been filed every legislative session. We watch them, whether they're going to go to committee, whether they can make it to the floor of the House, whether they come out of that, and none of them have made it yet to the governor's desk. However, they have been filing for evidence-based programming to be the foundation for what we should look at and make it required. At that time, neither one of our programs are evidence-based. So we started looking to try to improve that.
Well, let's go to that for a second. What does evidence-based mean as opposed to, say, non-evidence-based, research-based, faith-based, whatever else there is? What are the different versions that we have?
Right. Evidence-based means that it's been rigorously reviewed. Usually it hasn't published review or journal article with regards to that. It's been shown to be effective amongst the group that the study was done upon. Your Office of Adolescent Health has the different programs available and it marks them as to what the study is. One of the things that's important to realize when you start talking about the studies is what was the group look like? Was it a randomized group or was it a quasi-experimental where they chose a particular group of people and it doesn't go across the gamut randomized? Randomized is the gold standard with regards to research study, and so that's where the evidence base comes in, is that it's showing that it did those type of things and made it effective.
So I guess that means evidence-based is that you have a report back from somebody.
Yes.
As opposed to non-evidence-based, which you had before, research-based.
It was research-based, that's correct.
Okay, not based on reporting back?
It didn't have a research study done on it. It was based, so they developed it based off of research, that they were able to find, but there wasn't a research done with that particular program to show its effectiveness.
What are the plans the district has, whatever program we put in, whatever's going to be out there, how are we going to measure it in the future going forward? Because this is a hard thing to measure, right?
Right, it is a hard thing to measure. Part of it is you always want to make sure we protect student rights and that we protect student identities. One of the things that we will work with is our research department within our school district to determine ways that we can identify the best evaluation methods that protect our students' rights as well as their confidence or their confidentiality. That becomes a little touchy when you start doing that. I will say in the past, the way we've always evaluated is looking at the teen pregnancy numbers that we have access to that you have all seen tonight and looking like, are we trending the right direction? Are we making the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? The other thing we do is to having discussions with teachers, discussions with our departments within our school district and seeing what they're seeing. We work very closely with our school parenting program and having them give us feedback from that as well.
Now, Draw the Line also deals with more than just whether somebody's going to have sex, right?
True, yes.
Explain that to us and explain why that's important.
Well, it's important that when we talk about curricula, especially for Draw the Line, Respect the Line, it is a little bit more, with regards to 6th grade, it really focuses on character development and relationships more so than what our current program did in 6th grade. Our current program actually does more in 6th grade with regards to sexuality type education, where the recommended program does not. The other thing is we always want to make sure that we're talking to our students about all the laws, all the things that involve their consequences, making sure that they know all the information possible. My little coin phrase that I tell everybody all the time is that we're not building the students for tomorrow or the next day or just 2 weeks from now. We're trying to give the students all the skills and knowledge possible for their life tool belt for years down the road, for when they go into college, for when they get in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's important that the students have the information best so that when they're confronted with an issue or a concern or they have to make a decision, they have all the knowledge and skills in their tool belt ready to deal with that situation.
Thank you.
Mrs. Wolf. I'm going to just jump in here, if that's okay, because I have a lot of questions that kind of run a variety. One of the things that stands out to me is about abstinence-centered. Could you really talk about that? That is, I think, desirable to a lot of people to know that this is abstinence-centered, and I also want you to address why opt-in is preferable to the opt-out.
Okay, so abstinence-centered, it's funny because as we get into this, it's interesting how many coin phrases have been thrown around with regards to abstinence-centered, abstinence plus, abstinence-based, evidence-based. You have sexual education, you have abstinence plus. I mean, there's all these phrases. What it really boils down to is the discussion of contraception. Okay. Are you going to talk about contraception and failure rates only, or are you going to talk about contraception and failure and success rates? And making sure that they understand both sides of that method. With regards to opt-in and opt-out, in our particular school district, we are an opt-in school district. I think for our district, it is best for our parents to have that opportunity to opt-in and be able to sign and say, yes, they want to do this program. It also allows them, by doing that, to say, yes, I want this lesson, no, I don't want that lesson. The other thing that we have considered is being a active consent or opt-in, which means that every parent has to turn in permission slip, or a passive consent or opt-out, meaning that the parents who do not want their child to participate must sign the form to return saying their child will not participate. For our particular school district, obviously with clerical keeping up with 41,000 plus pieces of paper in the last couple of years for the majority of parents to say yes, their student can participate, opting out would be a nice option for our school district, but it's not one that we do right now. We are an opt-in. We require our parents to provide every piece of information to us that they want their child in or out of the program.
And it's almost run like a cafeteria program where even if you opt in, parents will receive the curricula and then say that is one of the, I guess, the topics that I do not want the school to be discussing with my child. I would rather discuss that with my child myself.
Actually, the way we have it set up, our parents don't even have to complete the permission slip until they review the curricula. So we make sure that our parent previews and everything are about a month out before the curricula will actually be taught in the classroom. And we have the parent preview set up usually on different days, different types of part of the week, so parents all have the opportunity to get there. We try to schedule at an earlier time and a later time, that way they have an option that way. And we try to make it, in our particular situation, in our school district in middle school, every single campus runs a parent preview. So every single one of our campuses has a parent preview for parents to go to and preview the curricula. And at that point in time, after they preview the curricula, and they've determined that they want their child in it or they don't want their child in it, that's when they complete the permission slip and turn it in.
Okay. While we're on the topic of kind of the pros and the cons, can we go to the pro and con slide that you had up? I wanted to ask a question about some of the cons. Oh, sorry, I can probably do it.
No, I got it. This one?
That's it. So one of the questions I had, because, and thank you for putting this together, I think that's very helpful. I think it's always hard to find a class for those who don't return the permission slip, but I know that we're very good at making sure that students are having meaningful time. So I don't really see that as a con so much. I don't think it's that hard to find. But one of the questions I had was, and I don't want to go into in depth on this, but if you could just talk a little bit about the pushback on the condom lesson, because we use an approved alternate activity, which is less controversial. Can you discuss that? Can you tell us what that alternate activity is?
I will have Melissa Munsell come up on the alternate activity so she can describe it perfectly, but what I will say is on the pushback on the condom lesson, what that actually was, that was a con that they immediately knew would not be an acceptable thing in Northeast ISD when you look at the way the condom lesson is currently written within that curricula. And so they determined that an alternative lesson was definitely the way Northeast would have to go. Okay. And I'll have Melissa describe what that alternative lesson looks like.
And while we're waiting for her to come up too, maybe she could also discuss why it is, I'm thinking the role playing is difficult for participation just simply because we're talking about middle school students who are reluctant.
It is, as far as the role play, yes. And with our current curriculum, the role play situations were not as scripted as draw the line, respect the line role plays are. So actually, I think it's going to be a stronger role play scenario within the new, within draw the line, respect the line. Okay. Yeah, easier for the students to write their lines and then share and pair with their fellow students. Okay. On the condom demonstration, the alternate activity. The lesson that is within the curriculum actually used an actual condom, but we chose not to do that. And so basically it's just a list of steps on how to use a condom consistently and correctly that's just read to the students.
Okay, so it's more discussed than actually demonstrated?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, additional questions? Why, Mrs. Grona? Mr. White or Mrs. Grona, Mrs. Huey, anyone?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just regarding the role play, I was just concerned about what are some of the role play activities that we're speaking of.
I'll call Melissa back up, but what I will always, because she's much more familiar with the curriculum in terms of individual lessons, but what I would like to say on that is always what we usually say, it's like having a linebacker to a situation. Before a student is in a particular situation, making sure they know how to respond to the situation. That's really what role play is more about. It's not we're going to act out something. It's more about I'm prepared to know what my goals are, know what I want to achieve, and how far I'm willing to go, and what my lines and draw the lines have been made, and then I turn around and I have the response ready to go. Because a lot of times they're nervous, they're scared, they're in a peer pressure situation, they don't know how to respond, they may not be thinking correctly, and so they're ready, they've already practiced that, they know what they need to say. But Melissa, I'll let you add to that. You're going to say Dilly.
Yeah. So basically in the role play activities, the students are given a scenario. It may be a scenario that involves maybe being in a party, maybe a scenario that involves drugs or alcohol, maybe stealing, maybe sexual type scenarios where there's pressure being put on the student. And after the description of the scenario, then there will be, kind of like Rachel said, a line that's given that's like a peer pressure line. and then the student has the opportunity to write their response to that line. And then there will be another line written from the peer pressure person that's putting peer pressure on that student, and then they have the opportunity to write another line. And there are skills that are presented within the curriculum that give those students tools to use in writing those lines, those refusal skills lines.
So basically, you're role playing how to say no.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I looked through those workbooks, and it looked to me like it was not class discussion role play when you think of role play, but more as the student is actually personally writing down on the worksheet how they would do it. And so they're probably not as reluctant to answer correctly because they're not having to share that with.
Right.
Okay.
So they write their lines, and then they can do a pair share where they share with a classmate and they practice those lines with the classmate, reading, the peer pressure line, and then the student writing the line that they wrote. And then the teacher has the opportunity to ask for volunteers. If there's a pair that would like to volunteer and read their script or read their role play, and then the class can critique according to the tools that they're given on whether that's a strong response or maybe that's a response that needs a little work.
Okay. Mr. White, did you have additional questions, sir?
Madam Chair, I was interested in one thing that I read, indicating that a person less than 18 years old did not legally have the right to give permission. Is that
the consent?
The consent, yes.
Consent.
It appears that that's part of the curriculum, and hopefully that type of instruction would help young people to realize that, well, I'm not 18, I can't give permission anyway.
And that is completely accurate. One of the things that I do want to make sure I bring up is that, first off, the age for consent in Texas is 17, not 18. The penal code is actually 22.00.011, and it is 17. So many of our students in our school district, before they graduate, will hit that age. And so that's an important point that we want our students to know. We make sure we cover all the law with our students. And our personal safety unit is really where we cover a lot of the information. We cover information about sexting at that time. We cover information about alcohol and the repercussions from the law with regards to alcohol. You can't drink until you're 21, even though some of them may consume prior to that. We still make sure that the students understand that whatever choice decision they make, they need to know all the repercussions to include pregnancies, STDs, but also that there could be law ramifications.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
Yeah, Ms. Taylor, just one more thing. I know that we've heard about Heritage Keepers as a program. It is not a program that was reviewed by the SHAC Subcommittee. Can you please explain to us why and what the reasoning was behind all of that?
Based on the qualifications of what we were looking at, which was having a multi-program, a multi-grade level program, Heritage Keepers was not a multi-grade level program. Also, in reviewing the different types of the 3 abstinence, they did review 2 of the 3 abstinence-centered programs. Heritage Keepers had a moderate rating with regards to the study. It also was not going to meet our full gamut of the number of lessons per grade level we were looking for and hoping to be able to have that vertical curriculum alignment.
What were the 2 other abstinence programs you looked at, if you remember?
I do remember,
or if
but
you look
I
it
have
up,
cheat
that would be
sheets,
fine.
so let's do that because there's
one of our slides as well.
Yeah, there's a slide on it, and I will go to it because one of them is extremely long, and I just know it starts with promoting. So promoting health among teens, abstinence only was 1, and the other one was making a difference.
Were those both reviewed by the SHAC?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you speak to that study rating that you just said it was moderate? So we did have, I think there was a slide that showed that Draw the Line was a study rate of high.
Mm-hmm.
So just explain what that means.
From the Office of Adolescent Health, which is what Melissa was referring to earlier, which is the national office, they have the EBD programs, the evidence-based programs on there, and they mark the study ratings on there. Those study ratings that you see there are coming from that list.
So what does high mean? What does moderate mean?
High means that more than likely it had a randomized trial, so it had a large group. They found the study to be effective, at least amongst one of the categories that it was reviewing. It also means that it meets multiple criteria, and depending on the number of criteria that they use to evaluate those programs would determine the rating study.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Huey, did you have questions?
Almost everything I'd written down has been answered, so thank you to the rest of you. But I did, one of the things that really catches my attention is this decision wasn't made in a brief amount of time or suddenly, or let's pick this program today or whatever. It seems to me that there's been a very consistent method to coming to this conclusion. You mentioned starting in 2011. Can you kind of expand on how it's presented to the SHAC board? I work on a larger board that does work in committee. The committee does the hard work. They do all the research and the evaluations and everything else. Then they come present to the whole board as a recommendation so that the whole board's not spending. So is that?
The exact same process.
Okay.
So our subcommittees do the work of reviewing all 4 of the programs. They dwindled it down to one program that they felt was going to meet our needs in our school district and was more closely aligned to what we already had in place with regards to a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade program. And then they brought it to the full SHAC on March 29th. The entire program was presented to the SHAC as well as all the lessons. But in turn, it was also, the process was shared with the rest of the SHAC as well. Even though SHAC was aware of that this committee was meeting quite regularly. They met before, they met after meetings, they were meeting when we weren't meeting, and they were having lots of meetings, but they weren't sure everything they were doing in that particular meeting. So that was shared during that SHAC presentation, letting them the entire process that they used with regards to CHAMPS. And then they shared the recommendation and the board votes on the recommendation.
And the board has the opportunity to ask questions of the committee at that time?
Yes, ma'am. On this particular situation, we actually took comments from the floor, much like you've done tonight. We followed the exact same process. We let all of our concerned citizens to speak to it as well. And then at that time, our SHAC had the opportunity to ask questions, and then they voted.
And how did you feel about that? Did you feel was it 100%? Were there any dissenters? Was there any?
We had 26, we had 35 people present that day out of our 50, which is, we had 26 that said yes, we had 3 that abstained, and we had 1 no. We had 2 that were in the far back, because our school nutrition department actually was serving food that day, and they did not come up, and so they did not get counted, but they were in the back, so that's where we got our 35. And we had 1 individual that left early, so they were not there for the vote.
But you did have 1 no?
We did have 1 no.
The 3 abstentions?
3 abstentions.
Okay, was that because of conflict, or?
I think it was more because of conflict and the situation, and that we had cameras there and media, and I think that was more of the concern for them.
I think that's about all I have.
Madam Chair,
Oh, yes, sir.
Just one other question. Our current program, did I understand that it does not cover middle school, the one that we Northeast have now?
The one we have, Choosing the Best, does cover middle school. It does 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I'm not talking about what we choose. What are we currently, are we teaching at middle school, sex ed currently?
Yes, we currently teach human sexuality and abstinence education. Our current program is Choosing the Best, and we have it in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to recap something really quickly, if I understood you correctly, you say that we relook at these programs approximately every 3 years, and one of the main reasons that you're doing something that has evidence-based is because we want to be prepared to be evidence-based if the legislature, when the legislature says you have to have an evidence-based program. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're always trying to be one step ahead. That is true. The other thing is as Melissa and I have done our background, and as our subcommittee has also done their background, it has become very apparent that evidence-based is highly recommended for school districts to look at and review. Of course, our SHAC had the opportunity that if they felt like the current program we had met their needs, they could have stayed with it, but they didn't feel that at this time. They felt like they needed to move forward to an evidence-based program.
Could some of that be because some of the information perhaps statistics and such are, you know, obviously after a number of years become a little outdated? Does this have maybe more current
That is true.
data?
But I will say this, because of our systemic approach to our curriculum, we make sure that every year our teachers and our curriculum department actually review statistics. We try to update within the program, whether or not Choosing the Best or whatever program we're using puts it out. We're going to update the program as best as we can. We work closely with our law, with NEISD, NEISD, let me spit that out, the police department. I can't get that out. But we work carefully with them to make sure that we update all the laws. If laws change, we're updating those as well. We go through statistics and make sure those are updated. And then we look at things that are currently trending in our area. Human trafficking sometimes comes up as something that we're looking at because that's becoming a popular thing. That's not written in any curriculum right now. So our job is to make sure that we stay up to date with what's going on in our particular local area as well.
Mrs. Green?
I
you said
forgot
that
too. There was a comment made by a speaker earlier that we're inconsistent in our messaging. Could you address that?
Yes, ma'am, I can. One of the things with regards to inconsistency in messaging, I understand that when we talk to students about being in high school, we're going to say no alcohol. We don't want our students drinking when they're in high school. When we talk about illegal drugs, we're always going to say no tolerance. They're always going to be bad. When we talk about sexual intercourse, yes, we want them to abstain for as long as possible. We want them to abstain till a marriage or a committed relationship for some of our students and make sure that they have that opportunity to make the best decision for them. However, being able to compare those things as an apples and oranges type comparison isn't really fair. Because with alcohol, we also teach the students that when you do become of age of 21, consuming alcohol in moderation is not considered bad. It is considered always bad to drive and drink at the same time because you're engaging into a risky behavior. The same thing happens to be with sexual intercourse. It is not always going to be bad. If it's the right time of your life, you're at the right moment for you, and you know all your risks, you know everything, and you're engaged in a committed relationship. That is one of the things that we share, we stress. Abstinence is always 100% the effective method, but again, we also have to recognize that we are trying to teach students from much later in life. It is not just about today, it is not about next week, it's about every chapter of their life. And so that they're aware of what's going to happen when they get to high school, any peer pressures they might have there, as well as when they get to college, their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s.
And then there were other districts mentioned in all the data that we were given that are using this, and have you visited with those districts or other districts around the state or whatever, and how do they feel about this program? Are they looking to keep it, to change, or anything about that?
They're all pretty recent adoptions. Several of them have had them. They're very happy with the program. They're seeing results that they would like to see. They're seeing students that actually go through the entire curricula, not just part of the curricula, are not having pregnancies. However, students that only go through part of the curricula or do not go through the curricula at all are becoming pregnant. So of the pregnancies that they're reporting, that's what it's shaking out to be. So they're seeing the positive results. They feel like their parents appreciate it as well. The parent information that's available that we can share with our parents, the lessons are up to date. 6th grade, honestly, I think will be a nice change for our school district because 6th grade is really not focused on sexual activity. It is really focused on character development and relationships, where our current program really does discuss contraception in 6th grade. It talks about the failure rates, but it brings it up in 6th grade. This program will not bring that up in 6th grade.
I'd like to make a
Yes,
motion.
please. Oh, you'd like to make a motion? Actually, I just have one question before we make the motion, if you'll allow me. Ms. Naylor, and I think this is really important. So the evidence is inconclusive as far as protecting or having a positive impact on girls, correct?
Correct.
Are there any programs that show positive impacts on girls' behavior? Are there any other programs out there?
Yes, ma'am. There's probably other programs out there that have a positive effect on girls at the time that they're not meeting all of our things. There also could have been a quasi-experimental type program, so it wasn't a randomized study. So they would have a different effect and be able to show a different research program type of study from that. However, again, going back to the Office of Adolescent Health's list, they mark what they consider to be high and moderate. And again, this program was marked as a high, as making an effect. It also showed trending when these girls got into 9th grade as being able to start having positive results. And another key point to the whole thing is the influence with regards to older peers, older boyfriends affecting the girls, maybe the influence. Right. And that is consistent with Bexar County data. 62% of males that father a child are over the age of 18 for girls that are teen pregnancies. So obviously there's something that we need to be looking at. It's definitely something that we can address. Again, always when we pick a curricula, we have the opportunity to add to the curricula, we have the opportunity to make it better, and we always do that in Northeast. We really truly believe that sometimes our teachers and our staff have some of the better input with regards to what our students need. And so we will add to this particular program with regards to that lesson and making sure we have a lesson in there that talks to girls about the peer pressures of older boyfriends.
Okay, one more time. Financial malfeasance has been alleged.
There's no funding that we're going to receive, and there's no funding that we're going to pay out.
Any additional questions? Is there anyone else from your department, your group, the committee that would like to, is there anything we've missed? Anyone? This is really important. Okay. Mrs. Wolf, you had a motion?
I would like to move that we approve, draw the line, respect the line curriculum to replace the current middle school human sexuality and abstinence education curriculum.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay, so motion has been made by Mrs. Wolf, second by Mr. Wheat. Do we have any additional discussion, any additional questions from anyone?
Madam Chair, I would just like to say
Yes, sir.
That I was pleased to see two students speak, girls that have experience with their peers that are currently pregnant, or others that may get pregnant at an early age, that approve the program.
Yes, sir, I agree, and I think they were very courageous and well-spoken when they addressed the board, and very respectful. Any other questions, any other points? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve, draw the line, respect, yes, all those in favor say aye, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Next item.